Welcome to Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from the AMP.TV mobile studios here in fabulous Las Vegas. That's AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you in part by Cali Vegas, helping people create and host their very radio, TV, or multimedia talk show. Cali Vegas can help with everything they need to get out of sitting in hours of traffic or reinventing themselves because they've been sitting home for a long time trying to figure out what the next move is. For more information, contact Cali Vegas at 949-445-1119. That's 949-445-1119. Or visit them online for more information at calivegas.com. That's CALI Vegas.com. And a big welcome to everybody listening in on Magic 97.9 FM. Our new friends down in the greater Atlanta market, WDJY. Also a big hello to our friends down in Southern Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, Talk 1490, WIRB, iHeartRadio listeners, Spotify, and our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Also those watching on Hotel Television and AMP TV and streaming also on YouTube. We are here with a very, very special and exciting rockin' guest. And let's let him introduce himself.
Hey, everybody. This is Brad Gillis from the band Night Ranger and the ex-Ozzy Osbourne guy hanging out with you today.
Just like Brad. So welcome in.
Well, thank you for having me. You know, you say that because I go to the games and, listen to Crazy Train, little AC/DC, Hell's Bells and stuff. You know, it's just great to know that the classic rock music from our era, I should say, is being played live and enjoyed still.
Yes, sir. That's great stuff. I tell you what, folks, I know you've been to a game. Anybody that goes to these games, whatever, you hear Brad's music. Because guess what? Whether it's Night Ranger, you hear him with Ozzy Osbourne doing his thing. This guy could tear it up and shred. But there's so much more to Brad than being just a guy that's standing on a stage. You've done so much more. And Brad, let's think about this. Let's think about all the work that you've done for, well, shoot, the 300 songs for whether it's ESPN, Sports Center, the X Games, Fox Sports, Tiger Woods, Sony PlayStation, EA Sports. It's in the game. And the Fuse channel, plus a whole bunch more. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's kind of an extra thing over and above, isn't it?
Well, I've spent, 40 years with Night Ranger. Inception started in 1980, got our first record deal in late 82. And 83, we started going on tour. And, we did about 250 shows a year and kicked butt all over the world and Japan and Europe and such. And about 20 years ago, when my touring was a little lighter, I should say, only maybe 50, 60 shows a year, I started getting into writing some TV background music. And I had a friend of mine with ESPN that kind of set me up with, lots of placements. And one of the coolest things for me was watch a Monday Night Football game and hear one of my songs going 7-8 seconds out to the commercial, just prime time there. But it's just a blast just to be able to hear my music on Sports Center and ESPN and then Fox Sports and all the other avenues that I've released to. But I just released a flamenco tune on The Price is Right, so that's a little different for me. But I try to get in all different genres of music, from rock to orchestration to metal to easygoing TV stuff, commercial stuff to just softer stuff and my flamenco stuff.
So he says softer stuff. What would you consider softer stuff? Besides
just things are lighter, like background music for different commercials and stuff. But, I kind of set my sights on doing getting some of these like Old Navy Target commercials. So I got into some really lighter stuff that has a little bit of orchestration in it and soft, clean guitar or no guitar at all. But everything I do, I try to keep a little melody in my tunes. So when you get done listening to a commercial or whatever it's on, you might remember the little melody in the guitar line or the orchestra line that I played in my music to, just to kind of remember, some of these commercials, you listen to them and you listen, the commercial's over and you get their little ditty stuck in your head. So I try to keep it. I've always been a melody guy, so I try to keep the melodies in my music.
All right. So I have to ask you this just because I can. Now, think about this. It may be 20 years down the road, and you walk into, let's just say we walk into a retirement home. And so we walk in, and now, you think of the music that's played in there, and in 20 years, you think maybe they're going to have the soft music. No, but they maybe got a little bit of Night Ranger in there. They got some Ozzy in there, maybe some Zeppelins being played. Can you imagine a retirement home back then or up then? That's unbelievable.
Wow. It's funny. Imagine now I'm going to have to learn myself some rock and roll polka.
Come on. That's great stuff. You think about that. I mean, I'm getting that age when maybe in 20 years or something, who knows, maybe somebody will throw my backside into an old people's home. And what are we going to be listening to? I don't want to be listening to Billy Bob's Polka Party. I want to listen to some face melting something. Give me something that's going to keep me going and keep me young in my head.
Oh, it's going to be metal Lawrence Welk, redoing all that stuff and doing it and metal sizing it.
So what if you have, so what do you replace the bubble machine with from Lawrence Welk, if that's the case? Is it like a giant bong or something?
Yeah, well, we'll try to figure that one out, Sal.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It's way too early. I got 20 years. It's way too early for me.
You and me both. Folks, we're here with Brad Gillis of Night Ranger and touring guitars with Ozzy Osbourne, and he's done a million other things. Welcome to everybody on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and hotel television from coast to coast. All right, so let's kind of talk about a quick appearance here on American Bandstand or Solid Gold or Rock and Roll Tonight, whatever. All right, so you have to do these TV gigs. How do the TV gigs vary from gig to gig? Was it more structured, or was it more you do what you got to do?
Well, when we first came out and started making it big with our first release, which is Don't Tell Me You Love Me, and it was all over MTV, and all of a sudden it was shooting up the charts, we did American Bandstand with Dick Clark. And the other TV shows we've done, like, Solid Gold and Rock and Roll Tonight. Now, Rock and Roll Tonight was a live show. It was all live, no overdubs. But when you do a American Bandstand, they just play your track in the background and you basically fake it. You just go through the motions. That's just kind of how it is for that kind of TV, but any press is good press, right?
Yeah, that's right. No, but a lot of people would think, hey, wow, now they've just been blown out. It's kind of like now they found out the Easter Bunny isn't real. It's the same idea. But no, that's cool, though, because I wanted to find out, because some are more structured than others, right? Some say, all right, go do your thing, like what you're saying with Rock and Roll Tonight. And I didn't know that Bandstand was all that way. I thought that some other people actually sang, or maybe they would just sing over the track.
Yeah, sometimes they sing over the track, and sometimes you just lip sync the whole baby. So in our case, we lip synced everything on those shows. And this is back in the early 80s. So that's just how they had it structured back then with Dick Clark. But he kind of took us under his wing and was real nice with us. And I had actually been on American Bandstand with my band before that in the late 70s called Rubicon. So I'd been on there a few times. But, anytime you go to LA or New York and you do TV, it's just, it's like, wow, I'm moving up in my career. I'm doing some big, huge TV music show, whatever it may be. We were pretty much a staple on MTV back in '83 when it came out. And, with a 24/7 live video music format all day long, 24/7, they didn't have enough videos to complete, to actually fill a full day. So they probably played our Don't Tell Me You Love Me video, probably played it 25 times a day, every day.
People never got tired of it, Brad. I mean, they loved it. Can you give us a little taste of that?
Well, we got a little Don't Tell Me You Love Me here. Let's try this. There you go. There's that opening riff.
Atta boy. All right. I got to tell you, I've tried to play that several times at home. Of course, I butcher it every time. I'm just not the world's best guitarist. And I don't know. I think Sonar might be able to play that one too. What do you got, buddy?
No, I'm strictly rhythm. You can find my part in the Sultans of Swing. I'm strictly rhythm.
For me it's just about chord crunching and that's it. I mean, I can't. I just can't get that go. The problem is I'm left-handed, but I play right-handed. So up on the board I'm good, but I can't.
No excuses,
right.
Sal. No excuses.
I know I'm terrible. Listen, I know I'm terrible. The whole world knows I'm terrible. Whenever I pick a guitar up, everybody closes their windows and runs away. I mean, that's really what happens on my side. It's terrible, man. It's terrible. Hey, listen, we're going to go to break here in just a few seconds. Why don't you give us a little outro of something that's on the top of your head?
Oh. There you go.
Nice. Folks, we're going to be back here with Brad Gillis of Night Ranger and a million other things, plus Ozzy Osbourne, in just a few minutes. Folks, don't go anywhere. Make sure you come right back with us. Don't go anywhere.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Do you have any questions about legal issues? Have you ever been stopped by a police officer and issued a ticket that you're scared to deal with? Have you ever been in trouble with the law and don't know what to do? Do you have a will or power of attorney question? Is your home being foreclosed upon and you don't know where to turn? Maybe you were given a contract that you don't understand. For freedom and a worry-free solution, call for Legal Shield today at 213-245-1305. It's that simple. You will have access to high-quality law firms that will fight for you for less than $1 a day. Peace of mind is just a call away. That's for Legal Shield. Call 213-245-1305 or visit us at nocourt.us. It's justice for all and not justice for some. Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea, the American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's ABTRUSTCO.com or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away. This is Sal Tuzzolino, host and ringmaster of the Sports Circus. Why listen to the same old dog and pony show that you've heard all day long? The Sports Circus covers everything that other shows don't or are too scared to cover. There's no primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the mouth and you'll beg for more. You can call in and participate with our chaos if you dare. Join me and celebrity guests for Havoc and Mayhem weekdays at 5 p.m. Pacific here on AMP TV or stream the show live at thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus, so we prove it every day.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from the AMP.TV studios here in fabulous Las Vegas. That's AAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, even contracts given to people they don't understand, plus a whole lot more. For more information, contact Legal Shield at 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305, or visit them for more information at nocourt.us. That's nocourt.us. I'm hearing some noise back there. Got some noise. All right, and I'm here with supersonic rock star Brad Gillis from Night Ranger. And this guy's been playing a little bit. Welcome back to everybody on Magic 97.9 FM right here in Las Vegas and everywhere else. iHeart, Spotify, CBS, NBC, Fox, Hotel TV, wherever. Look at this guy. He's ready to go. He's got guitar in hand, and he's ready to melt some faces. What do you got for us, buddy? Yes. Got a big round of applause? Excellent. Always good stuff. All right, so hey, listen, let's talk about a little bit about the influences, because we always have to know when you were a kid or whatever, when you're growing up, you know, like, who did you listen to? Who did you like? Who did you try to kind of follow after or maybe mimic the sound? What were you into?
Well, I'll tell you, Sal, I was very lucky because right about 64, the Beatles came out. But in 1965, my parents bought me an electric guitar and an amplifier. And my brother, being 7 years older than me, he kind of had all the coolest, latest records. Once I started learning and kind of getting it down, rhythm chops and such, I want to learn how to play lead guitar. My brother had all the greatest records from 69 and 70, you know, Hendrix and Led Zeppelin came out, and Santana and the Doors, and Big Brother and the Holding Company with Janis Joplin. And I was able to go in his room and he'd go out at night and he'd set me up to be able to play back to all of his records and kind of just learn. And a friend of my brother's came over and told me, he says, you know, Brad, you could take lessons and learn Mary Had a Little Lamb, but if you really want to, you know, learn the right way, learn by ear. Because if you learn by ear, you're able to pick up what's coming at you, figure out where the one chord of the song is, figure out the whole structure, and then later on in life, you could just sit in and jam with anybody. You know, you just play the first round into the chorus, and then I got it down to be able to finish the song. So I was lucky enough to learn by ear, and that really helped me out when I joined Ozzy Osbourne, having to learn the Randy Rhoads material in 4 days back in 1982. So that's pretty much a clip note. But basically, it was Jimi Hendrix, Jeff Beck, and Jimmy Page. Those are my three biggest influences. Okay,
so how many opportunities have you had a chance to play with the guitarists that you looked up to? You're like, yes, now I'm on a stage with them, or I'm in the same room jamming with them. What are the top three that you've actually played with that you're just like, yes, I had to do it, and I did it?
Well, we did back in 1984, we did this session with Ronnie James Dio called Stars, and they brought everybody in, all the biggest guitar players that were happening at that moment, and record this benefit song that is for the children, and we raised a lot of money with sales, and it was all, you know, just for a good cause. But you had all the big boys there. You had, you know, Neil Schon from Journey, and of course Yngwie on Malmsteen on guitar, and George Lynch, and all these just great players hanging out in the same room playing, playing solos. Everybody got like 8 bars, and everybody threw in their 2 cents. And the song was probably 3 or 4 minutes of verses and chorus vocals and about 7 or 8 minutes of guitar solos. So that was quite a trip for me. That was about 1984. And as far as other guitar players jamming with, I did this thing with George Lynch and at the NAMM show. We jammed a few times down there. He's such a great player, played with Dawkins and quite a few other people. But, I guess one of the highlights in my life was doing my solo record when Night Ranger broke up in 1989. We had a couple years off. And I had met Greg Allman. And he moved to town, and he was friends with this band I'd had jamming around the Bay Area for a while, and he grabbed this band and took them under his wing to go out and tour around the West Coast as Greg Allman and Friends. So that's when I actually met Greg. I was having a barbecue at my house here in the East Bay Area, California, and we were all hanging out doing a barbecue, and I said, "Hey, Greg, come on in my studio, man. I want to play you this track." Now, this track I had another vocalist on it, but I didn't like what he was doing. So when Greg came in my studio, I muted the track and I muted the vocal and just played the track back. And when he got done, he goes, "Hey, Brad, you play that again?" I said, "Sure." So I started playing again. He says, "You got a pencil and a paper?" I said, "Okay, yeah." So I grabbed a pen and paper, and he started writing lyrics down. And when the song was over, he said, "Hey, Brad, get everybody out of the studio and put up a microphone." So I put up this microphone, and he sang the song in probably 1 or 2 hours. And I put it on my solo record, my Gill Rock Ranch record back in 1991. And the song's called Honest to God. And we released it, and it was top 18 on Billboard. I had a hit with Greg Allman. And the problem was I was with the smaller label, and they didn't have enough resources to get records in the stores. It's way before downloading. But it kind of, did its thing. And, Greg came back in and did one more song for me. So we had 2 vocal songs on my instrumental record and with Greg Allman, which was absolutely amazing just to be in his presence and hear his timeless, raspy, killer voice on a few of my tunes. I should say our tunes. I wrote the music. He wrote the lyrics.
That's awesome.
So that was quite a pivotal time for me to actually have Greg Allman in the studio.
Nice. Here with Brad Gillis of Night Ranger. And a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and Hotel Television. He's been telling us some great stories, playing a little guitar. And, hey, man, tell me what's going on with Night Ranger right now.
Well, we had a good start of the year. This was going to be touted as our biggest year since the 80s. We kept moving more and more up with shows, and we're up 70 and 75. And last year, I think we were at 86. And I think this year, 2020, we're going to be at 95 shows. Now, a little over 40 of those shows, we were going to be on the Sammy Hagar Whitesnake Night Ranger tour all over the country doing amphitheaters, and that got carboshed with the whole virus, everything going on. So all live music is pretty much dead in the water, and we'll wait and see what's happening for 2021.
Well, there's a lot going on still. Unfortunately, a lot of people now are moving on to the streaming platforms. They're doing pay-per-views. Even right here in Las Vegas, some of my friends that have their shows, they're actually doing pay-per-views of their shows, and they're selling them left, right, and center. I mean, thousands and thousands of pay-per-view, pay-per-clicks, getting $20, $30, $40 a ticket, which, let's face it, if the people are going into the theaters themselves, they're going to pay, $50 to $100 a seat anyway. This way, they don't have the overhead of the theaters, and now they're just going over the streaming platform, and that's something that's, a lot of people are making a lot of money on that, which is great news, because now you don't have all the other mouths to feed that are inside that food trough, if you will. You know what I mean, Brad? Because there's a lot of people that have to be paid along the way when you're playing in a hall.
Right. Yeah, we're thinking about doing that. We've been coming up with all these different options and how to keep us, out there and abreast and to the, we want people to know we're still out there doing it. So we had a little band meeting a while back, and we're trying to come up with a few new ideas. But, it's just the problem being right now is everybody in the band lives in different parts of the country. It's just flying everybody out and just getting us into the right situation where it's safe enough with everything going on to be able to pull something like that off. But, we are in discussions about possibly doing the same.
Well, there's a lot of that going on. And I have to say, just from my own view, from the bands that I've seen out there, and whether they are at the bleeding edge of today's teenage music all the way to, your classic rockers and everything in between, I think a lot of bands are kind of going that direction right now. Sonar, wouldn't you agree that you've seen a little bit of that out there as well?
Yeah, with today's latency, you can have pretty close to an analog signal sent digitally. there's a lot of codexes out there that do it. I mean, I have a what's called a barracks box right here in my studio that connects to all kinds of other studios out there with like maybe a 6 millisecond delay from the whole thing, and it sounds like it's as close to analog as possible. It's amazing what people can do nowadays. Now, really, audio you can send quickly. It's the video that takes a little bit to catch up. But I mean, that's all stuff you can fix and post if you really need to.
Right. Well, that I'm looking forward to see what we come up with, because I'm itchy. I've always been high strung, and I've always had a lot of energy, and I miss playing. Our last show was months back, right in March before everything came down, and boy, we were getting ready to go over from doing a few Midwest shows to Punta Cana to play the Hard Rock Cafe right on the beach there with 3 days off and a big sold out venue we had there. Everybody was looking forward to a couple of days off and the fun and sun and doing this big show. And that's when everything got heavy with the airports. And it was like, oh gosh, do we really want to fly out of the country right now? And if it gets too heavy, we'd be stuck over there. Not a bad place to be stuck. But
not a bad place. Right.
Yeah, everybody with family.
not a bad place. And you know what, Brad? You could kite surf your way all week long if you had nothing else to do. Maybe you can kite surf your way back to the mainland. You never know. That's what happens over there. Hey, listen, don't go anywhere, Brad. We're going to be back here with Brad Gillis of Night Ranger in just a few minutes here on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come. Give us a little something on the way out, buddy. What do you got? All right, folks, don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
My favorite one had to do with the Green Bay Packers. And I love the fact that they dealt off Ty Montgomery because of a blown assignment. Green Bay isn't Green Bay unless they have a good running game. Then they can win 10 Super Bowls. The fact is, you don't have a running game. You've got 70% passing, and that's not where Aaron Rodgers needs to be. He needs to be in a position where he's got a running game to offset the passing game and so forth. I like the move. Green Bay didn't have a running game anyway, so all they're doing is saying, we're going to get rid of you because you don't follow instructions.
Well, he made one of the most boneheaded plays I've ever seen. There's 2 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock. They traded him on Tuesday.
They should have cut him on Sunday night.
He shouldn't have been on the plane back to Green Bay.
Right, they should have made him walk back to Green Bay.
No, it was a terrible play. Now, he's not a stupid guy. He went to Stanford. He's not a dumb guy.
He's not a dumb guy, but he doesn't follow instructions.
He made a terrible play.
The fact is he didn't follow instructions. And you say he's not a dumb guy. His own agenda he put ahead of his team.
I agree.
Thus, he is a dumb guy. Right or wrong?
Wrong. He just got selfish. You're not going to convince me that a guy from Stanford's a dum-dum.
No!
Yeah, this is Sidney Justin from The Miracles.
So you heard yesterday's show at Roy Firestone. Didn't you hear a little clip about him going into the office where Smokey was at? That was really good material, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really funny, man.
Yeah, and then you heard him.
I thought it was hilarious. It was cool, though. It was cool. Really cool story, man. I enjoyed listening to that.
Right, and then he gave a couple of bars. Can you give us a couple of more from Ooh Baby Baby, and let's see if you could do it better than Roy Firestone? Come on, man!
All right, you know what? Why not? I did you wrong. My heart went out to play, but in the game I lost you. What a price to pay. Hey, I'm crying. Ooh, baby, baby. How's that, man?
That's
Is that okay? Is that good enough?
That's incredible. That's fantastic.
You know why? Because that's what you do. You're in the incredible business, Sid. That's awesome. Yes! Only at the Sports Circus. You're going to get sports? You get music?
back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from the AMP.TV mobile studios here in fabulous Las Vegas. That's AAMP.TV. Folks, make sure you check out the sportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our podcasts, and also check out our partners page. Some fantastic charities represented, really good people as well, including the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for their upcoming events and whatnot. And welcome back to everybody listening in on Magic 97.9 FM right here in Las Vegas. Big hello to our friends over in the greater Atlanta market on WDJY, as well as all of those listeners on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates, watching on Hotel TV, streaming at thesportscircus.com, and AMP TV. Back here with Rockstar Brad Gillis from Night Ranger, and he's been tearing it up, shredding it up. But we're learning a little bit about him and his diversity as well. You've done a lot of cool stuff, whether it's video games, you've done collaborations with a lot of people, but you also have participated in the hearing aid, right? That was kind of a cool project. Tell everybody about that.
Yeah, well, the whole hearing aid thing, I mean, that was, this is a long time ago and just dealing with a lot of great people. And there's so many great things that have gone in my life, but I got to tell you one thing. It comes down to me getting the gig with Ozzy Osbourne. That's the ticket for me. Basically, I was playing in a band and was playing a couple Ozzy tunes, and I got the call to go do this big audition. So I just want to stress to you that that's one of the biggest gigs and the greatest time of my life was a few weeks after the late, great Randy Rhoads passed in that plane crash. I was able to get on the road with Ozzy and go all over the world. And it was just amazing.
Well, tell us about the 135 story. The $135, the room thing.
Well, basically, I was doing a few Ozzy tunes, playing in this band on the side while Night Ranger was trying to get a record deal. I had to play. I couldn't sit back, and so I put this band together. We were playing everything, all the latest, greatest rock tunes and everything out in the early 80s. And like I said, we were playing a couple Ozzy tunes. And in 1981, the day in the green, the Oakland Stadium, Ozzy came and did that big show. And, there's like 60, 70,000 people there. And all my friends saying, hey, man, we got to go see Ozzy, man. You got to check out Randy Rhoads. So me and my musician buddies, went and saw the show, blown away by Randy. And I ended up just, playing more Ozzy tunes in my all-star set, around the Bay Area, because I thought it was so great. And then this guy came in and was watching me play one night and said, hey, Brad, you sound pretty good with these Ozzy tunes. I might be able to get you for an audition on the gig. And I'm like, oh, okay. He goes, no, really. Yes. And his name is Pat Thrall. Pat Thrall was the brother of Preston. Preston Thrall was a brother of Pat Thrall, who played with Pat Travers. And Pat Travers' drummer at that time was Tommy Aldridge, who had been back then playing with Ozzy. So Preston told Pat, Pat told Tommy told Sharon. This was on a Friday night. On early Sunday morning, I was up very late with this woman I met at the bar here. And I get this phone call at like 8 a.m, and I only been asleep a couple hours. And this lady saying, hey, Bradley, this is Sharon Arden, Ozzy Osbourne's manager. We'd like to fly you to New York for an audition. I'm like, I go, who's this? Quit joking around. She goes, no joke, Bradley. Let me put Ozzy on the phone. I said, yeah, put Ozzy on the phone. Sure enough, this guy gets on and goes, hello, Bradley. Yeah. Grab a pen and paper. I want you to write down these 18 songs to learn. Now, my father was a pilot. And when my father was in New York and we were in the Bay Area, there would be a delay on the phone, the slight little delay. And I heard that delay and I freaked out, Sal. I thought, man, this is Ozzy Osbourne on the phone. I freaked out. Of course, I got that pen, got that paper, started writing down these songs. And he basically said, I know, Bradley, it's Sunday. We'd like to fly you out on Tuesday and, to hang out with the band till you learn all the songs to, get you to join in. Basically, they'd hired another guy named Bernie Tormatus to come in and go through the motions until they found somebody new. And I was like, I told Ozzy, I said, I only know a few songs. He said, you'll learn them, right? I said, well, of course, I'll do what I can. So on Tuesday, I get a ticket, and it's a one-way ticket from San Francisco to JFK. And I had $150 in my pocket, no credit card. I'm 24 years old. And I fly to New York, and I get in around 11:30 at night, and there's a limo guy waiting for me with the hat on and this suit. And I thought, wow, this is getting better, right? And that night they were playing Madison Square Gardens, which, of course, I missed the show because I came in late. They took me back to the hotel. Basically, I was just going to go in my room and sit and wait for somebody to call me. But when I went to the front desk to check in, I said, reservation for Brad Gillis. They looked and they said, I'm sorry, we have no reservation for a room here. I said, I'm with the Ozzy Osbourne Sharon Arden party. Oh, sorry, no reservation. I said, well, how much is a room? And they said $135. So I paid cash for the room, ended up having $15 in my pocket, right? And this is now we were staying at the Helmsley Palace, beautiful place in Manhattan. So I just went up to my room and I sat around just kind of waiting for somebody to call me. Sure enough, about 12:30, I get a call from our road manager, Larry McNeely. He said, hey, Bradley, we're all here, man. Come on up to the master suite up top and meet Sharon and Ozzy and come and, just hang out. So I remember walking up to this big, huge double door suite with a bunch of noise and music going on in the background. Sounded like a big party. Knocked on the door. Larry opened the door, said, hey, Brad, how you doing? I said, fine. He goes, you get in okay? I said, yeah, I didn't have a reservation for my room. And it was $135 and I got $15. So he opens his wallet and he gives me 5 crisp $100 bills and says, how's this? I said, getting better. so he said, come on, let's go meet Sharon and Ozzy. So all these people hanging out in this big suite. I look at Larry. I go, Larry, how many of these guys are auditioning? He goes, oh no, man, it's just you. If you can't cut it, I guess you're gonna go home. No pressure there, Larry. Thanks. Anyway,
yeah,
so
and you got a one-way ticket.
Yeah, I got a one-way ticket. I got $515 to get me home. Anyway, so I meet Sharon. She's all nice and polite, and she goes, "Oh, and all these people are hanging out, a bunch of noise." She goes, "Oh, come over and meet Ozzy," and he's holding court, sitting at the main couch, and everybody's trying to interview him and such. And Sharon goes, "Ozzy, real quick, it's Bradley Gillis. He flew from California," and Ozzy was a little, he looked like he had a few, and he looked at me. He said, "Go get your guitar." Oh, okay. I go, Ozzy, I don't have an amplifier. He goes, go get your guitar. So I didn't even take the elevator. I ran down the stairs, right? Go to my room, grab my guitar, come back up, and pretty much, he says, come on upstairs. I want you to play for me. So imagine a big, huge suite with a big stairwell that went up to the master bedroom. I start walking up with Ozzy. And everybody stops talking. Everybody's watching me walk up these stairs doing the big audition, right? And I look back and I go, oh, okay, this is heavy. So I go in Ozzy and Sharon's bedroom. I sit at the end of the bed. He sits in front of me, kneeling on the floor, and looks up with me and says, what song do you want to play? I go, well, I know Flying High again. He goes, okay, play it. And the song. Now, there we go now, that song. And he's on the floor singing up to me, and I'm looking down, and Ozzy's singing to me. So it gets to the solo, very intricate tapping solo. I went through the whole solo, stop. He jumps up, I jump up. He gives me a big hug and says, Bradley, I love you. Pull me through. It's like, oh my God. And he was like hugging me, like you could tell he'd just been through a lot. He's still back, still touring. His wonderful, great, guitar player, Randy Rhoads, has just died in a furious plane crash. And he opens the big suite doors in the bedroom and looks down the Ozzy. He goes, I found a new guitar player. Everybody's like applauding and everything. And I walk downstairs and basically, everybody comes up to me. Who are you? Where are you from? I'm like, I'm nobody. I play in a band called Rubicon. So basically, I knew I was in the door, just me, but I had to learn all the material. So basically, Sharon goes, what do you need to get through this? Yeah. And basically, I said, I need a little amplifier, I need a boombox, and I need a cassette. Remember cassettes, you guys? Anyway,
yes.
So they gave me 2 live board tapes from a couple weeks before with Randy on it. So I sat in my room all day for 4 days, learned what I can, probably, getting up at 8 in the morning and and up until the gig, which would be 8 or 9 at night. So I had a good 10, 12 hours of practicing. And then I go to the soundboard and watch Bernie on stage playing, and the big castle and Ozzy, sold out every night, freaking out, thinking, I'm going to be up there in a few days. Well, after 3 or 4 days, I told him I was ready. And then I went into my first sound check. And then we'll go from that after commercial.
Wow. What a great experience. These are the stories you'll have when you're sitting on a rocking chair in that old people's home and they're playing Ozzy over the loudspeaker, right? And so you've got all these old rockers in there that are maybe 80 years old. I remember you whippersnapper. That was you playing guitar with Ozzy Osbourne, wasn't it? Look at the stories you'll have.
Oh, yeah. And I believe me, I just did a thing with Rudy Sarzo, the bass player with Ozzy. I just did his big show here a while back. And it was so fun, him and I trading stories. I mean, we were looking back to things that both of us kind of forgot, but we reminded it, each other of what happened back then. It was pretty crazy.
Exactly. Give us a little outro. We're going to break right now. Folks, don't go anywhere. Lots more to come with Brad Gillis of Night Ranger Ozzy Osbourne.
Do you have any questions about legal issues? Have you ever been stopped by a police officer and issued a ticket that you're scared to deal with? Have you ever been in trouble with the law and don't know what to do? Do you have a will or power of attorney question? Is your home being foreclosed upon and you don't know where to turn? Maybe you were given a contract that you don't understand. For freedom and a worry-free solution, call for Legal Shield today at 213-245-1305. It's that simple. You will have access to high-quality law firms that will fight for you for less than $1 a day. Peace of mind is just a call away. That's for Legal Shield. Call 213-245-1305 or visit us at nocourt.us. It's justice for all and not justice for some. Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea. The American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's ABTRUSTCO.com or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away. This is Sal Tuzzolino, host and ringmaster of the Sports Circus. Why listen to the same old dog and pony show that you've heard all day long? The Sports Circus covers everything that other shows don't or are too scared to cover. There's no primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the mouth and you'll beg for more. You can call in and participate with our chaos if you dare. Join me and celebrity guests for Havoc and Mayhem weekdays at 5 p.m. Pacific here on AMP TV or stream the show live at thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus, so we prove it every day.
Let me tell you a story about Bill. Bill was a normal guy in his 50s. He had back surgery about 2 years ago. Bill was in a lot of pain. He dealt with his pain by taking the Percocets his doctor prescribed for him. Bill took more and more and more of them to help with the pain, until one day the prescriptions weren't enough to get rid of Bill's pain. Then one day Bill found someone to help him get rid of the pain with illegal drugs he didn't need a prescription for. Fast forward to today. Bill lost his job and his family. The only thing he does have is his drug dealer. If you know Bill's story and you don't want to end up like Bill, call the Detox and Treatment Helpline right now to get away and get treatment.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Welcome back to Sports Circus. This is Brad Gillis from Night Ranger, ex-Ozzy Osbourne guitar player, having a blast with you guys here today. And you know what? Life is good, so make the best of it.
All right, a big welcome back to everybody listening in on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, and those watching on Hotel Television and streaming at AMP TV, and also all of our friends on YouTube. A big hello to you. We're here with Brad Gillis, rock star from Night Ranger and Ozzy Osbourne. Also is a big sports fan too, but also a big collector. Hold on, before we get into any of that stuff, you started to kind of tease us with a little story at the end of the last segment, and let's let you finish that up. Then I want to hear about those guitars that you got.
Well, you know, I was talking about the Ozzy Osbourne story, and I can't think I left it off where I was hanging out at the soundboard every night, just watching the whole big stage and the castle they had up there, and the interim guitar player, Bernie Torme, doing his thing before I was able to join the band. So about 4 days into it, I kind of learned everything, and I thought, well, I think it's time to get up and do it. So I told Sharon, and so I went into a sound check that the day I was supposed to play that night in Binghamton, New York, sold out. I think it was like 8,000 people. And, you know, talk about jumping right in the fire. Okay, never played with the band before. I do a sound check. Out of the 18 songs, we only get through 7 because of time constraints and them opening the doors. And Ozzy wasn't even there for the sound check. So here I am, never played with the band except for a couple of songs of sound check. And here I'm getting ready to be thrown on stage to play for 8,000 people. Well, I was a little nervous, didn't know what to wear. And they had this black Ferrari jumpsuit that they put me in. And they said, well, Brad, you got to wear makeup. So they put pancake makeup on my face and did, you know, eyeliner on me and stuff. It wasn't really my look. Anyway, but did my first show that night. And it was very scary for me because, you know, a lot of fans in the audience with their arms crossed and looking at me, Randy Rhoads live signs and people kind of flipping me off. And it was very scary, not only just trying to get through the set, just knowing that I had an unwilling audience to accept me at this point. So I went through the motions of the set, and halfway through, we have this song called Revelation Mother Earth, which is a ballad, an Ozzy Osbourne ballad. And halfway through the song, it kicks into the fast part where it goes, you know, kicks into the big chunk thing. Well, I kicked into the fast chunk, a verse and chorus too early. And when I started doing it, everybody in the band kind of looked at me like, oh my God, what are you doing? It's like, I screwed up. So I stopped, listened to the band, got back to my clean channel because it's a clean song, a clean guitar tone, and got through that next verse and chorus. And then we all went into the fast chunk together. Then I finished out the whole set. I got through it. I was really, I couldn't believe it. I thought, man, I really screwed up. And everybody afterwards, they were so nice, so kind. Said, Brad, you did great, man. You're settling into it. You know, give yourself, you know, a couple days here, you know, and when you start getting the groove, it's going to be great. So they kind of, you know, helped me out because I knew I'd screwed up. So the next night, Sharon comes up to me and she goes, Bradley, you're doing a great job, but tonight, don't screw up. So I didn't screw up and did okay after that. 2 weeks later, we had a King Biscuit Flower Hour live nationwide broadcast live with Ozzy Osbourne. So I did that and was all over the country. Everybody pretty much heard it. And that kind of turned things around for me as far as the audience. People started accepting me.
I remember the King Biscuit Flower Hour. That was, I think it was on Sunday nights or something like that. But it was always kind of a big deal. All right, so talk about a big deal. Now, you've got a couple of guitars. I don't know, something to the tune of over 100 of them, 140, whatever the heck it is. It's a mad amount.
I only play one at a time.
Okay.
Basically, about 20 years ago, Sal, my friend of mine, I met this guy. We started playing guitar, just jammed together. He wanted me to play on his record. He's going, Brad, man, how many vintage guitars you got? At that point, I only had like 15, 20 guitars. You know, guitars I kind of grew up with, Brad Gillis models that Fernandez made, a couple nice acoustics, and my old black Les Paul Custom that I played with Ozzy and with Rubicon. And I said, I don't have much. And he goes, tell you what, man, you got to start collecting. He goes, you play on all my record, and I'll give you a couple vintage guitars. So I spent a couple weeks, doing this guy's record, just really helping him out. And he gave me a 56 Les Paul Jr. and a 1953 Gibson ES 175. Beautiful guitars. Both were absolutely fantastic. Both totally different sounds. And I started getting the vintage guitar buying fever. This is around 2000, about 20 years ago. Then, me having the, the advantage of going around the country and playing all over the place and going to pawn shops and music stores, I started picking up a bunch of other guitars and bringing them home with me. And then I started getting into wheeling and dealing with a couple of big actual vintage dealers. And I built my collection up to the point where I could pretty much get any sound imaginable.
But didn't you get some from somebody from the 49ers organization at one point?
Yes. It was the Raiders.
Oh, it was the Raiders.
Basically, yes.
Oh, well.
No, it was the Raiders. I was looking for vintage guitars, and on Craigslist, somebody had listed a bunch of old Martin guitars for sale. This is probably 10, 12 years ago. And I called the guy up, and he says, yeah, I'm he was in the city next to me. He was selling insurance. He said, I got these guitars at my work. Come on down and check them out. I walk in the door, and we're looking at all this Raiders memorabilia everywhere and a bunch of old Martins on guitar stands around his office. I'm looking at, damn, this is Dave Casper from the Raiders, the Ghost, right? Yeah, and he goes, hey, man. And I thought, wow. I go, dude, I'm a total Raider fan. I had to tell him the story where, I was into baseball and was in Little League when I was younger. And basically my friend said, hey, come to a Raider game and check it out. It was the most exciting sports day of my life, watching the Raiders win. And it was, I became a Raider fan instantly. So to hang out with Dave Casper was very cool. And he was a great guy. I ended up buying 6 guitars from him. He cut me a good deal. And since then he's moved away to another city. But, when I started playing again with the Alameda All-Stars, this band I played on the side when Night Ranger wasn't working, on Sundays when the Raiders would win here in the Bay Area, I was playing this nightclub, and they would come in and hang out at the nightclub. And who came in? Kenny Stabler, John Matuzak, and Dave Casper. So I met all the Raiders. I started dating a Raiderette at one point. There you go. And, yes. A lot of fun hanging with these guys. John Matuzak, boy, I tell you, he would come in, all 6'8" of him and 300 pounds. And he walked to the front of the stage where we were jamming doing my little club band. All right, guys, I want you to play 5 songs. Proud Mary, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, and Brown Sugar. And he named these 5 songs. We're like, okay, John. And we play the songs since we all could play by ear, could fake anything, right? So at one point we're sitting with John Matuzak and during a break, and I'm telling him how much of a Raider fan I am and stuff. And I told my dad, I go, Dad, you gotta come in and meet John Matuzak. Sometimes the Snake will be in there and other guys and different Raiders and come on down. So my dad comes down, he's hanging out, and I see him in the corner while we're playing, hanging with John Matuzak, just talking back and forth, laughing and everything. And a break comes up, and I go over to my dad, and he comes up to me, he goes, hey man, John got us on the field this Sunday for the Steelers game. I go, really? He goes, yeah, we're gonna be on the field. I went, oh my God. And I went up, thanked him. I go, thanks, John. Thanks for getting my dad on the field. Yeah, no problem, man. I'll see you then, right? So night's over. The next day, Monday morning, I'm looking at the paper, and here's the Raiders playing the Steelers in Pittsburgh.
So
anyway,
let me ask you this. Oh, by the way, folks, a big welcome back to everybody watching on Hotel Television, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and those listening in, of course, on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates. We're here with Brad Gillis of Night Ranger and Ozzy Osbourne. All right, so when you were standing on the stage when John Matuzak walked up to the stage, was he kind of the same height as you already because you're up on a stage because he was such a big guy?
No, our stage was a foot tall, and I'm 5'10", so yeah, I guess we were almost eye level. But he was a large man, very big man.
He's a large human. I
tried to buy his girl.
As a Raiders fan, hey, so what do you think Brad, what do you think of this? Now with the Raiders here in Las Vegas now, How do you feel about that? They're no longer in Oakland. I mean, let's face it, Oakland, LA, Oakland, Vegas. What's the next city? Are they going to stay in Vegas, or you think they're going to move on to London or something?
I think they'll stay in Vegas for quite a while. I just worry about them going out and partying every night and losing games because they're hungover. But back in the 80s when they went down to L.A. and they were the L.A. Raiders and they were playing at the Rose Bowl, we were down in L.A. recording records. And our record company vice president had 50-yard line seats at the Raider games and down at the Rose Bowl in L.A. So I was able to go see them down there while we'd be doing records in L.A. So I always was able to see them. And, of course, I had season tickets for many years here, seeing them in Oakland, and I actually got on the field in Oakland with a buddy of mine that worked for the Raiders, and I remember hanging out for a few games on the field. And boy, I tell you what, the excitement going on there and the energy. But I just love football. I love the Raiders. I love baseball. My dad was a pitcher in Little League. My dad would take me to Giants games in San Francisco. We both bring our gloves. He'd say to me, he goes, Brad, and Willie Mays was my big idol, Willie Mays.
Nice.
And he said, Brad, I'm going to catch you a Willie Mays foul ball. We were behind the plate up in the second tier. Sure enough, this ball comes flying back, foul ball by Willie Mays. My dad reaches up and it goes right over his head and starts bouncing around and bouncing down the stairwell. And I'm looking at him like, come on, Dad. And he reaches out, goes into the stairs going down, reaches out and grabs me the ball and hands it to me. My dad caught me a Willie Mays foul ball just as he promised.
Wow. That's crazy. I have a Willie Mays signed baseball. My brother said, just sell the baseball. I'm like, no, I'm keeping that. I'm going to be buried with that ball. And that with the Mickey Mantle, the Ted Williams, and the Hank Aaron. I'm keeping those things with me. I don't give a damn. Hey, listen, we only have a couple of minutes left. Tell everybody what you're working on right now, what's coming up for Night Ranger and yourself, even if you're doing solo work. Tell us more.
Well, basically, we're trying to keep ourselves busy with Night Ranger. So we had just locked in a record deal and with Frontiers Records, and our last few records have been released by them. They're worldwide, over in Europe and the States and Japan and Far East. So in this time, we can't really get together in the studio, living in different cities. So we all have the luxury of passing around tunes since everybody has their own home studio. So we're going to start passing around probably the next, starting this new record where everybody could go in and do their different parts. If Kelly, our drummer, sends us a drum beat and Jack puts a bass line on it, we start, I can start throwing down guitar parts, and then we'll figure out how to get together to put the background vocals and get it all finished. But we're trying to keep ourselves moving, so we got that going on. And I'm just locking in my solo record. I've been working on this record for quite a few years, and basically it's songs I've written for years. And I got Gary Moon singing vocals. Gary Moon was in Night Ranger for a while when Jack split to go do the Damn Yankees. And
all right, that's good. Folks, check out Brad Gillis at bradgillis.com. Thanks for joining us today from Night Ranger. Brad Gillis, I'm your Ringmaster Sal, and we'll see you next time back here on the circus. Until then, so long, everyone.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.